looks like this. It's focused on the epistemic property of learning design. It will hopefully become clear in a minute what it is. And it actually deals with pedagogical patterns, not design patterns, as I should make that difference. The sort of standard use is obviously just to sort of give yourself, identify yourself. And first use case is to go through the collection of patterns. What we mean by that is, take one example. Patterns are in the form of what students will be able to do after they've done this session. And the patterns have a text that specifies what's the epistemic, what is the sort of epistemic property, how they're coming to know what this learning outcome is saying they should know. Now, what you notice probably is that there is black text and some colored text. Black text is the sort of hardware, and the software, the soft parts are the colored text. The colored text can be changed without affecting this epistemic pattern character. So, we have some examples down below here on the right, so you might not see it, but each pattern comes with up to 3 instances from practice that we collected. This first instance, so notice that the black text has not changed. What's changed is only colored text. What we have here now is the altar of Pergamon, which is the historical monument. We have some voices talking about this part in terms of origin, purpose, and meaning and references. So that's taking effect in the text of the activities. What the students are doing, they are examining perspectives from these voices on the particular aspects of that artifact. If I change it to child behavior, we have multiple perspectives from a teacher, education researcher, neuroscientist, and the likely causes of the children's classroom behavior of a child. Right? Same epistemic character, different content. This is a promising, kind of a little promise of maybe breaking down the barriers, interdisciplinary barriers, subject-system barriers, because that's an example of how you can go from classical history to psychology. Once we play with this, we can say adult learner. So I can change this to my, this is adoption phase still. Adult learner. So I'm happy now that I've typed that in. It's taken effect here. It's now ready to be taken to some maybe more customizing. So I click adapt this pattern. I'm taken now into this view, which is a design view. This is where the learning design is taking place, designing. Those paragraphs are in these blocks. Each statement in a paragraph is one of these boxes. Color of the boxes denotes the cognitive activity according to Conversational Framework. This you can change by selecting a different cognitive activity from this obviously list. You can attach resources. This is where you start thinking about design issues, not pattern issues anymore. So now you are a bit more focused on how you're going to deliver and for your particular audience. So you can change something and you can change text. All parts of the text are now available for changing. You can swap activities around. You can swap the parts around. You can instantiate new activities. You can give them a particular flavor. It's all taking effect in these calculated for you. Now, at this point, you can decide to export, play it, if potentially there's a player developed in the future. You can save it and play it. You can also export it with another software tool being showcased in this event called Learning Design Support Environment. But what is most important is the terms of publishing a pattern, not a learning design. Publishing a pattern. Now, how might we do that? And it's a little proposal which is still in the realms of complicated. But it's where we get to, so this text that I had on the previous screen is the same text, running in both parts, right? That's the same text. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to look in my instance text, what are the properties that I can take out and generalize so that my colleagues, other teachers, can make sense of. So I'm going to go, 1 minute, sorry, pretty much. So, voices on this are these, for instance. Notice that I selected some text, and here it's also gone blue. So everybody in the text is now gone blue. The color is being nominated for this. So I put a set of voices. This is a generic description. So now my pattern text says sets of voices. In my instance text it says teachers. This is how you help others understand what you are trying to do. On particular aspects, so I'm just going to do this and then, so now it's gone red, second color, so a set of aspects. So generic term. Now I can try this on for size. I can preview this, and I can see that I've done set of voices, set of aspects. If I forgot what I did, I can click instance and see what the original thing was, go back to generic, and say from a journalist, again, notice how it takes effect immediately. At this point I can save this, and potentially in the future we can enter that back into the collection where we started from, thus having a sustainable way of growing this collection from practice by you. And it's a sort of idea of how we as researchers publish papers for others to read, generalize some bits of into theories so other researchers can understand. So teachers as well, if they're given a chance, hopefully in tools, they can work in this manner to generalize their teaching so others can actually see it and understand it. Thanks.
Great. So just a quick impression from the people. You know, quite a few people tried out this tool. If somebody wants to comment on their,
First of all, I want to say that I take off my hat. I tried to take 1 hour of an activity of 1 hour that I've just designed for a new course that I'm going to teach in the next semester, and I tried to put it out. I think that are you putting it out?
I'm just going to try to put it out.
Okay. And I worked with this tool, and by using the grain sizes that are were introduced to me by this tool, it made me think of things a little bit differently. You know, because I thought of reviewing some map and writing down something, and I thought about this as one thing, but then I had one idea was review or something like that, and the other one was produce. So I had to think, okay, so what are they going to do first? And so I thought it was very helpful to we think of our ideas in a very vague manner. We know exactly what we want to do, but all of a sudden when we need to map it, and this tool really helps to do that, we can articulate what we're doing so that others can use
So in a way it guided you in the process of abstracting from your concrete experience, which is, and it's very interesting to note the difference between the previous two tools, which were very visual and graphical, and this tool, which is very textual, right? Mike?
So I used it as well, and my first impressions were it was very textual, it was going to be rather dull and boring. I actually found it very intuitive to use. So I took a design pattern that we'd already worked with, which was around inquiry learning. I found one that seemed to match, imported that. It made enough sense that I was able to then start modifying it, and to do that in a way that made sense within my context. And I saw a lesson plan take shape there, in terms of the structure, but also in terms of the allocation of resources and the timing. And then I worked with Laurillard then to try and abstract that back. And again, I found it possible to do. I imagine that task you would need to be working with a more expert learning designer, because that task of abstracting isn't conceptually simple. But the interface was certainly intuitive, and I found the text actually a help, because I was able to think in terms of how you would present a lesson plan rather than just its abstract conceptual structure.
Okay, I think